The most interesting thing for me is to meet all the other people and talk one-on-one and learn from them and find out what people are doing. There's a lot of really great kidney stuff here today, and we're learning more and more about how knowing more about endothelin in the kidney can help treat kidney disease.
So I'm a postdoctoral fellow in the laboratory of Dr. Michelle Gums, and we're interested in the circadian clock and how it regulates kidney gene function, kidney gene expression. And so one of the genes that's regulated by the circadian clock is endothelin. It has a circadian rhythm of expression, and so we're interested in how the kidney clock regulates its expression and how that relates to sodium handling in the kidney and overall blood pressure maintenance.
So I think for me, one of the most exciting things that I saw, I really enjoyed Dr. Cohan and Dr. Webb's presentations today, talking about sonar and credence and some of the differences with those trials. I'm a basic researcher, so it was really neat to see some of the clinical applications of what we're talking about at this meeting.
I think in kidney disease, there's a lot of exciting material coming out. Sonar was very positive. We have many kidney trials coming out. We have ones in IgA nephropathy, in FSGS, in resistant hypertension, in acute kidney injury, in sickle cell nephropathy. So I think there's a very bright future, particularly in kidney disease.
So I'm just curious about other complications of diabetes, like neuropathy, anything else besides nephropathy.
Particularly, I think something like neuropathy, where maybe there's an anti-nociceptive effect here. All of that.
So SGLT2 inhibitors are a new class of treatment for diabetic nephropathy. We have seen a number of trials showing that they improve cardiovascular outcomes for patients and that they have recently been shown to improve renal outcomes as well. So together that's really important for patients with diabetes, type 2 diabetes, because that means they live longer, more productive, healthy lives if they take these treatments. So I think that gives a new weapon in the treatment of type 2 diabetes, and it gives a benefit to patients. So I think that's very exciting. There are, as with any drug, some side effects associated with the SGLT2 inhibitors, but I think they're fairly well recognized now that they cause ketoacidosis, so that's important to be aware of. And there are some other issues around a risk of fractures, a risk of osteoporosis, a potential but not very clear risk of some cancers that needs to be explored. What we do know is that all of those rarer effects, like the potential effect on cancer, occur in very small numbers compared to the large number of people who benefit in terms of not having heart attacks, strokes or heart failure. So the overall benefit overwhelms any potential harms.
So I'd like to add that there's actually plans, I know, for credence for sure.
I think in renal medicine there's still great opportunities. I think at the end stage of renal disease, in dialysis patients, endothelin antagonists might be very exciting. And then in other forms of renal disease, apart from diabetic renal disease, there may be opportunities for endothelin antagonists. So I think the future is rosy, but we need to engage young researchers in the field. We need more early researchers coming to the meeting because they learn a lot and they have a lot to contribute, and we need to build up the basic science that underpins our clinical studies, because all of the clinical studies are built on really good basic science.
We have an idea where the catheter works. Is it through the pipe?
Stimulating.
Stimulating.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say complex and promising.
Fun and also a knowledge and new experience.
Not originally start as a accumulation of fat. It's a subcutaneous fat.
We also know that endothelin-1 is elevated in obesity. After 6 weeks of surgery, endothelin level went down, suggesting. And so the way the study was set up is right.
So the diversity of expertise and that's represented in people who are attending it, both from the basic science points of view and also from the combination of patient care, research, clinical outcomes, cutting edge research, and combining it with newer technologies. So the broad content scientifically, which is translational and also clinical, is very important.
Our population is not included postmenopausal.
You know how it correlates with the RV stroke volume index?
Okay. And what he showed was that if you were his work from Ray Benza in Pittsburgh, and he took trials that we can assess prognostic risk in patients.
Like multiple sclerosis, same thing.
Yeah.
We should handle RVFSE and RVE.
So what's your thinking about the future of endothelin in the renal?
Well, I really hope there's a role for understanding circadian rhythms in this area. What we've seen in our own work, and I think Dr. David Pollack and his group have seen this as well, that time of day is so important. The receptors expression, endothelin's expression, it's varying over the course of the day. And then, Bean and Dr. Webb published a paper a couple of years ago in hypertension showing that happens in humans as well.
I really think the big future needs to be in the brain and related to pain. I really think that's where the field needs to go. That we have to get neuroscience people to. There's actually a number of people who work in the pain field that know about endothelin. They're studying it, but I think we need to get them at our meetings so that they can learn more.
And the combination of endothelin related mechanisms that are important in different organs tells us that the future is going to be very bright.
I think it's been a great meeting. These meetings are always good. So you have experts in the field of hypertension, renal medicine, cancer. We've heard from a leading international hepatologist and somebody who works very closely in genomics. So bringing all these experts to bear on the question of endothelin and its therapeutic potential, I think is really important, and we have a really high level of discussion. So
I really think it's important to integrate your knowledge with different areas of science and different disciplines, from the clinical to the molecular and genetic, and everything in between, and then the different organ systems, how they're you study a pathway in one organ, it might happen a similar way in another organ, and you never know where the next great discovery is going to come from. So.